In the business world, the rearview mirror is always clearer than the windshield. Wall Street is the only place that people ride to in a Rolls-Royce to get advice from those who take the subway. Predicting rain doesn't count. Building arcs does. The first rule is not to lose. The second rule is not to forget the first rule. Risk comes from not knowing what you're doing. Chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. Only when the tide goes out do you discover who's been swimming naked. Price is what you pay. Value is what you get. It's far better to buy a wonderful company at a fair price than a fair company at a wonderful price. Someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. Should you find yourself in a chronically leaking boat, energy devoted to changing vessels is likely to be more productive than energy devoted to patching leaks. I think that both parties should declare the debt limit as a political weapon of mass destruction which can't be used. I mean, it is silly to have a country that has 237 years building up its reputation and then have people threaten to tear it down because they're not getting some other matter. The rich are always going to say that, just give us more money and we'll go out and spend more and then it will all trickle down to the rest of you. But that has not worked the last 10 years, and I hope the American public is catching on. The only way to get love is to be lovable. It's very irritating if you have a lot of money. You'd like to think you could write a check, I'll buy $1 million worth of love. But it doesn't work that way. The more you give love away, the more you get. I would say the most satisfying thing actually is watching my 3 children each pick up on their own interests and work many more hours per week than most people that have jobs at trying to intelligently give away that money in fields that they particularly care about. When a management with a reputation for brilliance tackles a business with a reputation for bad economics, it is the reputation of the business that remains intact. I never attempt to make money on the stock market. I buy on the assumption that they could close the market the next day and not reopen it for 5 years. There seems to be some perverse human characteristic that likes to make easy things difficult. I sent one email in my life. I sent it to Jeff Rakes at Microsoft, and it ended up in court in Minneapolis, so I am 1 for 1. Somebody once said that in looking for people to hire, you look for 3 qualities: integrity, intelligence, and energy. And if you don't have the first, the other 2 will kill you. You think about it, it's true. If you hire somebody without integrity, you really want them to be dumb and lazy. Honesty is a very expensive gift, don't expect it from cheap people. If you're in the luckiest 1% of humanity, you owe it to the rest of humanity to think about the other 99%. The most important thing to do if you find yourself in a hole is to stop digging. I insist on a lot of time being spent, almost every day, to just sit and think. That is very uncommon in American business. I read and think. So I do more reading and thinking, and make less impulse decisions than most people in business. I do it because I like this kind of life. There's class warfare, all right, but it's my class, the rich class, that's making war, and we're winning. There comes a time when you ought to start doing what you want. Take a job that you love. You will jump out of bed in the morning. I think you are out of your mind if you keep taking jobs that you don't like because you think it will look good on your resume. Isn't that a little like saving up sex for your old age? It takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. If you think about that, you'll do things differently. No matter how great the talent or efforts, some things just take time. Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. It's better to hang out with people better than you. Pick out associates whose behavior is better than yours and you'll drift in that direction. You can't produce a baby in 1 month by getting 9 women pregnant. You only have to do a very few things right in your life so long as you don't do too many things wrong. I always knew I was going to be rich. I don't think I ever doubted it for a minute. What an investor needs is the ability to correctly evaluate selected businesses. Note that word selected. You don't have to be an expert on every company, or even many. You only have to be able to evaluate companies within your circle of competence. The size of that circle is not very important. Knowing its boundaries, however, is vital. I've seen more people fail because of liquor and leverage being borrowed money. You really don't need leverage in this world much. If you're smart, you're going to make a lot of money without borrowing. The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. I tell college students, when you get to be my age you will be successful if the people who you hope to have love you, do love you. I will tell you how to become rich. Close the doors. Be fearful when others are greedy. Be greedy when others are fearful. It's far better to buy a wonderful company at a fair price than a fair company at a wonderful price. I am a better investor because I am a businessman, and a better businessman because I am an investor. If you aren't willing to own a stock for 10 years, don't even think about owning it for 10 minutes. Put together a portfolio of companies whose aggregate earnings march upward over the years, and so also will the portfolio's market value. Diversification is a protection against ignorance. It makes very little sense for those who know what they're doing. Opportunities come infrequently. When it rains gold, put out the bucket, not the thimble. It takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. If you think about that, you'll do things differently. Our favorite holding period is forever. It's only when the tide goes out that you discover who's been swimming naked. One can best prepare themselves for the economic future by investing in your own education. If you study hard and learn at a young age, you will be in the best circumstances to secure your future. The best thing that happens to us is when a great company gets into temporary trouble. We want to buy them when they're on the operating table. Read 500 pages like this every day. That's how knowledge works. It builds up, like compound interest. All of you can do it, but I guarantee not many of you will do it. An investor should act as though he had a lifetime decision card with just 20 punches on it. You are neither right nor wrong because the crowd disagrees with you. You are right because your data and reasoning are right. I just sit in my office and read all day. Don't get caught up with what other people are doing. Being a contrarian isn't the key, but being a crowd follower isn't either. You need to detach yourself emotionally. The most important investment you can make is in yourself. Most people get interested in stocks when everyone else is. The time to get interested is when no one else is. You can't buy what is popular and do well. What the wise do in the beginning, fools do in the end. You've got to keep control of your time, and you can't unless you say no. You can't let people set your agenda in life. People always ask me where they should go to work, and I always tell them to go to work for whom they admire the most. Every saint has a past. Every sinner has a future. Life is like a snowball. The important thing is finding wet snow and a really long hill. Never give up searching for the job that you are passionate about. The more you learn, the more you earn. The rich invest in time, the poor invest in money. We don't have to be smarter than the rest. We have to be more disciplined than the rest. Do not save what is left after expending, but spend what is left after saving. Risk comes from not knowing what you're doing. Losing some money is an inevitable part of investing, and there is nothing you can do to prevent it. Go to bed a little smarter each day. The key is having more information than the other guy, then analyzing it right and using it rationally. The happiest people do not necessarily have the best things. They simply appreciate the things they have. Don't work for money, make money work for you. The best investment you can make is in yourself. The people who are most successful are those who are doing what they love. If you buy things you don't need, soon you will have to sell things you need. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and turn on notifications, so you don't regret missing life-changing advice and quotes.